Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry I didn't ask you if you wanted the meeting recorded. Is that okay for you? Perfect, great.
Okay, welcome everybody to this AGM. I'm just looking to see who's here. We don't have too many members here today, but welcome to you all members, and welcome to members of the committee, and welcome to Mike Berry. Good to see you back here, Mike, and to other people who might be here too. So hello to you all. We're delighted to be here at this. It's a pity we can't be here in person to meet up and discuss matters, but of course we're very grateful to the conference organisers for the work they've done. Let's get on first of all then to the minutes. So looking at the minutes from the AGM last year, which was the 23rd of November 2020, I don't have any particular problems with the minutes. Is there anything anyone wants to raise about the minutes, or can we accept them as they stand? Everybody's happy with them? Good, good, thanks Malcolm. I don't have any particular matters arising from the minutes that probably aren't already addressed through the other items that we've got on the agenda. So let's approve those minutes and move forward. So coming now to the Chair's report, I'll go through things quite quickly because we have got quite a few items to discuss on the agenda, and in particular, the Treasurer has matters, and we've got other matters around committee members, etc. So let's go through quite quickly, but just for the Chair's report, again, thank you members for turning up to the meeting, really appreciate it, and your contributions are always important and we like to hear from you. So members, this is your opportunity at the AGM to engage with us, but of course, if you want to engage with committee members at any time during the year, please do. Remember that the membership of the committee is there on the website, and the website is now really developing in terms of what we're doing. So we have been working on that, and it's good to see that that's looking quite good now. But there are aspects of the website that members could contribute to, particularly the research forum and your research projects. So if you see any ways where you'd like to contribute to the website, then do get in touch with us. I'd also like to extend my thanks, especially to the conference team. So that's Beatrice for organising such a magnificent conference with her helper, John Corbett, who's in China, so it's difficult for John to attend a lot of these things, and Mario too, who's been there supporting Beatrice. Thank you to all three of you, and especially to Beatrice and Mario, who have done all of the work on the ground. And your team there at Colombia, at Los Andes, who have supported us and supported you in delivering this really fantastic conference. It's been really great and wonderful for IALIC. So thank you for making it possible. We're sorry that we couldn't come a year ago, and we ended up having our special symposium, but this year at least, by having it online, it's interesting to see how many people have engaged, and in ways that perhaps may not have been possible had it been face to face, even though we regret that we can't all be there and see you. So hopefully next year we can start our face-to-face meetings again. I also want to extend my thanks to the committee members for the hard work that you do during the year. For those members of the committee of IALIC, you probably don't see a lot of the work that goes on behind the scenes, but we are quite busy as a committee, keeping the association running, dealing with things associated with the association. And in particular, we've had quite a lot of work to do around IALIC as an incorporated society, and the Treasurer Judith has been very busy working on that with the support of others. So there are constantly things going on, and similarly around membership, that's always a busy role too. So thank you to all the members of the committee for the work that you do in making the organisation function. I'd just like to remind you about the conferences. So the conferences are important in feeding into the development of ideas within the association and also the journal. And we welcome ideas and suggestions about future conferences, and also thinking about themes and topics. So again, you know, it's your conference, your association, so do liaise with us about that. Also, one of the key things about IALIC is its aims, and I'd just like to reiterate those so that you're reminded of them. I mean, I do tend to state them quite often, but I think it's important to keep them in mind. And I think for this conference in particular, we've really seen this critical approach to interculturality coming out, and we can see too a real strong sense of pushing back against ideas that have been developed in the global north, and a real sense of what it means to decolonize interculturality and intercultural communication. So that's been a very strong point of the conference. And remember that this conference feeds into, the conferences feed into the special issue. So we can see again that the ideas that are developing and coming out in this conference will be doing that. And it's really exciting to finally come to Latin America to have the conference. And I think in doing so, we've opened up a whole new way of thinking about interculturality. So in terms of the conferences, of course, we've tried to go out beyond Europe, and we've done that in Hong Kong in 2013 and then China in 2015, and now Bogotá in 2021. And so we have discussed the idea of possibly going to Africa in 2023, but that's something that still needs to be explored and hasn't been fine-tuned yet. So we are trying to go beyond a Eurocentric approach. So every second year we try and keep it within Europe or the UK, and then intermittently beyond Europe. So coming back to those aims, it's about criticality, of course, and creating a body for intellectual inquiry. And I think we're very much doing that through the conferences and through the special issue, which intersects with other disciplines. And that intersectionality and interdisciplinarity is also a theme that we would like to see you exploring a lot more in your research.
Prue, excuse me, can I interrupt you just for a second? I really apologize. I think we've got a technical issue where the people who are zooming in are not able to turn on their microphones or cameras. And I'm just wondering if anybody who has host privilege can have a look at that quickly.
Oh, thanks for that, Haynes. Important.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just seeing this in the chat,
Yeah.
and I don't think I can adjust that. I don't know. Maria Jose, can you see how?
Okay, just to carry on, I'm sorry about that, so I hope you can join in. But the second aim is, of course, about representing the lived experience of people engaged in intercultural communication and mobility, and the diversity that emerges from that. And we've seen that coming out through the keynotes and the presentations too. And then the third one, promoting theory and practice for a deeper understanding of intercultural understanding that addresses all forms of social injustice that we've seen coming out through mobility, and the exclusion and inequalities that emerge from that. And just a final comment from me before we go through the other points, which are really important in this agenda today, and I want to pass over to the other members of the committee. You will see in item 7 that I will be stepping down. So I'm really delighted to say that we have found a wonderful replacement to take up the role of chair in Christina Rossi Sol, and that's really exciting, and we're really grateful that Christina is going to do that. So we'll say more about that later. But just for me personally, reflecting on my 11 years as chair, when I arrived in the UK from New Zealand, I was invited by the committee to become chair, and I had no idea what I was in for. And of course, we had the Durham conference in 2012 and the symposium in Malaysia in 2011, hosted by Malcolm, help me out. Oh, you're silent. You're muted.
Shanta Nair Venugopal.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, so I took on this role, and I'd have to say that it's been a wonderful experience for me and opened up all sorts of opportunities in thinking about my own research. It's been a pleasure to engage with this organisation, this association, the members, and above all the committee members who have really worked hard on the committee. We've seen lots of people come and go over the time, but the committee members have always given a lot and believed in the association and been very supportive. And I wouldn't have been able to do this role without the support of the committee members. So I'm really grateful to you for all of that. And above all, I'd just like to finish by saying it's been a great pleasure for me to be in this role, and I think it's definitely time I step down to allow new ideas, fresh ideas, and new blood to bring in new impetuses and keep the association going and building on it. And you as members too are important in that role as well. So that's the end of my report. So I don't know if anyone wants to add anything at this stage in terms of the members, if you have any comments about your role or the association in terms of its aims and functioning. Maybe you can't say anything because of the technical problem, but hopefully the chat will allow you to speak. Okay.
Yeah, I can see from Tatiana Bruni that the issue's still not been resolved. So I think some members are not able to be heard or turn their camera on for some reason.
Are they able to say things in the chat?
In the chat, yes, but
okay.
But we can't see them when we can't actually hear their voice.
No.
I wonder whether I mean, we've got 3 members of the support team actually seem to be in the room. I wonder whether we could summon them to resolve this problem.
Yeah, they have already resolved it for me. I didn't have access to the mic and camera, but they allowed me now to have access to them. They just need to change the permissions and allow people to turn on the camera and turn on the mic. So please do that.
And it should be for, I think, just for everybody, just a blanket permission that allows everybody.
Okay, I'm going to speak in Spanish for a moment for them to hear me, just in case. Beatriz, you're here. Right?
Yes, I can hear. Yes, I was trying. Okay, so give me 1 sec, please. Alex. Andrea.
Hola, profe, ¿cómo estás?
Tenemos participantes. ¿Ya todos están habilitados?
Sí, dejamos habilitados micrófonos, cámaras y proyección. Sí, para que
okay, so now we have all of you are allowed to use cameras, microphone, and showing PowerPoints if you want.
Muy bien.
Good,
Yay.
good.
Gracias.
Thank you. Gracias. Okay, so I'll pass over now to Judith, the treasurer.
Thank you, Prue, and thank you, Prue, and hello, everybody. Those of you who don't know me, I'm Judith Reynolds, and I've been IALIC's treasurer since February of last year. So I will keep this as brief as I can, but what I am going to do is share my screen to sort of screen, if you like, the Treasurer's report as I talk to you. This was circulated with the AGM agenda earlier in the week, so I know that many of you will have received this, although I don't expect that many of you will have had time to read it. So it's quite a long document. I'm just going to scroll right through. Sorry, I'm just going to move it to a different screen so I can talk through more easily. Can you all still see the document? Yes, Maria Jose is nodding, that's great. So there's sort of various sections, and the first one is just a detailed breakdown of the figures for the last financial year. So I will scroll down to section 3, which is a summary that will just allow me to highlight the key points for you. Apologies, because my technology isn't working very well. It's just going quite slowly. Right, I'm just going to stop sharing this and try again. I'm sorry about the issue. I think, just give me 1 second.
John Corbett. I see, John, you've arrived with your glass. I suppose it's nighttime there. You can be
It's
forgiven.
Friday night. It's 8:15. I deserve
Bravo.
this.
Bravo.
And it's early in the morning for everybody in Colombia as well. It's
Yeah.
yes, very
Don't let
impressive that
that
you've got
stop
up
you.
this early for the meeting. So thank you. Okay, I'm sorry about that. So as you may know, since last year, we've operated with the accounts on a financial year that runs from the 1st of March every year. So the figures for the financial year 2020 to 21 relate to the financial year that ended in February of this year, which feels quite a long way ago now. But our income in that financial year, the last complete financial year, was £4,248. This was it's kind of a good figure for IALIC, and as you'll see here, most of that related to membership subscriptions. So that's actually unusual for IALIC. We had a very high number of memberships last year, which were generated because they were associated with obviously regular members renewing, but also people joining for the online 20th anniversary symposium, which we held this time last year. Our main item of expenditure in last year, financial year, was the journals charge. So Taylor and Francis charges a subscription for all the journals sent to members, and the figure for that last year was £2,827. There were smaller items of expenditure as well, just administrative things like a website administration fee for the Zoom accounts, accountants fees, and PayPal charges for the use of the PayPal account, which is how many members pay their subscriptions. So overall, our surplus of income over expenditure last year was just over £800. However, we did have to pay corporation tax on this figure, which I'll explain in a minute why we had to do that. And after accounting for the tax payments, we actually had a small deficit of £144 in the last financial year. So our net assets at the end of last financial year totaled just under £20,000, 19,761, and that's just very marginally less than we had the year before. An interim report for this financial year, so between 1st of March and 31st of October, we generated membership income of somewhat over £800, and our net assets at the end of October totaled £20,405. I've just checked the accounts as at today's date, and that's very slightly up. It's £20,792. £23 as of today's date, and Maria Jose, I can send you that figure for the minutes separately if you like. So obviously this financial year isn't over. We expect various income from membership, any surplus that's generated by the Bogotá conference. We have expenditure as well, of course, the journal bill and associated sort of annual outgoings. So we're not sure yet whether we'll be generating a surplus or a deficit in this coming financial year. I mentioned that we've had to pay a corporation tax bill. I did report on this last year at the AGM, in that we're in a funny position at the moment that UK registered, IALIC operates as a UK registered limited company that is set up for charitable purposes, and associations that function on this basis for charitable purposes shouldn't have to pay UK corporation tax, but they do have to register for exemption from corporation tax with HMRC and the UK tax authorities. And unfortunately, we found out last year that IALIC hasn't applied for this tax exempt status. So we did make an application to HMRC for a tax exemption last year. I did that early in 2021. We've had as Prue mentioned, a few challenges with this year. Unfortunately, our application has been rejected by HMRC, and they've rejected that on the basis that they believe that IALIC should be a registered charity in UK law. So they are asking us to register with the UK Charities Commission before they will consider granting us tax exemption. So that's why we've had to pay a tax bill, even though we believe we shouldn't have to. And we'll have to continue to pay a tax bill until we resolve these issues. We have applied to register with the UK Charities Commission. Unfortunately, this takes a fair amount of work, and I'm very grateful to all of my colleagues on the committee for all of the support and help that everyone has put in, essentially, in pulling together the necessary documents for an application. We did apply to the Charities Commission in September, but unfortunately that application as well has been rejected for now. And the reason that the Charity Commission has given us for that is that they believe that IALIC, there's a couple of issues apparently with the way that IALIC is set up from a legal point of view. And this is essentially to do with the fact that we've been operating on a constitution as an unincorporated association since IALIC was founded in 1999, but a limited company was set up in 2017 for various reasons related to the aims of what we wanted to achieve and not being able to achieve those aims through an unincorporated association. But it seems that there's some incongruity between having an unincorporated association and having a limited company that seem to be running at the same time now, that we've been told needs to be resolved before we can be successfully registered and then sort out the tax issue. So this just last bullet point, final thing I want to say is that, you know, as a committee, we've been trying to work through the dimensions, the ramifications of this and the steps that IALIC needs to take in order to resolve the matter. And we decided to seek some quotes for legal advice so that we can get some professional advice on what the best way forward is for IALIC. So at the moment, we haven't instructed any lawyers yet, but we are actively considering this. And I very much hope that next year at the AGM, we'll be able to report some concrete progress on this, because it will be of benefit to IALIC to be registered with the Charities Commission. But of course, the other main aim is that we procure this tax exempt status and we don't have to have any tax expenditure. So that's all I have to say, really. The rest of the document consists of financial statements that have to be filed at Companies House, but they don't contain any different information from the accounts in the first couple of pages. So I'd just like to, I guess, invite any questions or any comments or any questions that any of the members have on the accounts or those issues. Does anyone have a question they'd like to ask?
It seems not, Judith.
No, it doesn't seem like anyone has one in the chat. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time, everybody, and thank you, Prue.
Thank you, Judith. You can see, members, how much work Judith has put into organising all of this for us. And really, Judith, we're extremely grateful. I know it's really a lot of time for you on top of your job. So thank you very much for all the time you've put in and the thoroughness that you approach the task with. Really appreciated. Thanks. Moving on now to the membership secretary, Haynes.
Okay, thank you. I'll just see if I can share my screen. Let's see, it's not a very exciting visual, but is that, can everyone see that?
It needs to be expanded a bit.
Right, okay, let's see. How's that?
A bit more?
Okay. How's that?
That's better.
Great. Okay, so I'm Haynes Collins. I'm the outgoing membership secretary. So as of the 22nd of November, so this is a couple of days behind, we have 59 members. There is one member who just recently joined that's yet to be processed, so we may actually have 60. Our membership numbers fluctuate, but they tend to stay within a range sort of between around 45 to 80. A lot has to do with whether or not we link the membership with the annual conference. And sometimes when we do that, the numbers go up to what looks to be a very kind of inflated number. It's sometimes 100 or slightly over, but then at the beginning of the new year we sort of go back to this kind of core group of 40, 50, 60. So we have a range of memberships, as all of you will know, 3-year memberships, 1-year memberships, also reduced rates for students. We tend to have a lot of people that go for the 3-year membership. So there's 22 at the moment. And the rest are mainly 1-year members, and we have just only 3 student members currently, and so that's something that we're really taking note of, and something I'll come back to in just a moment. We have seen a bit of increase of interest as a result of the conference, so we have decided this year not to make membership a part of the conference fees, but we still by having the conference, it has raised our profile, and we have had applications for membership increase a bit over the last couple of months. So I think, by virtue of having the conference, it does guide people to the association and give impetus for people to join. We will be sending out renewal calls in January to all members, just reminding them to renew. This is something that's really easily forgotten. But I think before that happens, we've had quite a live discussion about the membership rates. And we have decided to form a working party and to try to come up with some ideas. And those will have to be done, this will have to be done relatively quickly. Because with the new year starting in January, I think we need to have a steer certainly before that. There's basically, I think, 3 options for us. We can just leave things as they are. We could make some minor changes by, for example, reducing the membership rates for students to try to encourage more postgraduate researchers or other students to join the association. Or we could go with quite major changes, which might include a large reduction in membership fees for everyone, a possibility of decoupling the membership from subscription to the journal. So these are, again, very, very live questions, and we hope to be able to give the committee a steer once the membership group meets. Sorry, the working party meets, not the membership group. So my term as secretary ends this year, and I'm really, really grateful to Anna Bieven, who's taking over the role, and I am meeting her next week on Monday. So we've already set up a time to meet to sort of do a handover. And I'll also be talking to her about the options of thinking about possible changes that we might want to make to membership rates. But I want to express my gratitude to all the committee members as well. It's been absolutely fantastic working with such wonderful people. And let's see if we've got any questions from anyone.
Haynes, you've done such a thorough job. It seems like there are no questions to ask. So well done on that report. Really thorough, really comprehensive. We're going to miss you on the committee. You've been a great asset. So thank you very much for all the work you've put in. As you can see, committee members are putting in a lot of work over and above their full-time jobs. So we thank you for that. And we're really grateful to Anna Bevan, who has agreed to step up and take on this role. She's a committee member, so she understands some of the issues. And thanks, Haynes, for staying on for another month to help Anna to adjust and to work through that subcommittee to address the membership issues. I'm sure that'll be a positive step forward. So thanks very much, Haynes, for all your work. Now we move to the postgraduate student rep.
Ruth, I'm really sorry to interrupt. I think John Corbett may have a question.
Oh, sorry, John.
Yes, it's okay. My raised hand could be mistaken for applause, and perhaps just is. I just wanted to say thanks to Haynes and Judith. You're obviously doing fantastic work. It was just a comment that it might be interesting to monitor the situation with Bogotá this year, because I suspect Bogotá is actually going to make quite an interesting I don't know, but I think Bogotá is going to make a surplus in terms of the conference, and it might be that any money that the association generates will actually shift from membership and subscription to actually the conference. And I have been a member of associations that run annual conferences, and it's the annual conferences that generate the income. It's not so much the membership. So it might be that we do accept a fairly stable membership around about 55. We obviously want to increase it, but it might be in fact the conferences in future that generate the income, depending on how those conferences are structured. So it'll just be interesting to monitor that and then keep our minds open to that possibility. But both Haynes and Judith have done fantastic jobs. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, thanks, John. In fact, we do have a request that conference organisers contribute at least 20% of their profits to IALIC. This doesn't always happen, and the records are kept by the treasurer. Sometimes it does. For example, in Valencia, we got £2,000, I think, sent to the association from the conference. And this year there will be some profit generated from this conference because it's been an online conference. So that's something that the committee can certainly take into account. Thanks for raising that. Okay, moving on to the postgraduate student rep, Ramsey.
Hello, good morning. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So basically, I'm very happy to see some usual faces and new faces as well, and faces that we have seen in previous conference. Hello, Mike. It's good to see you again. And basically, this project, which is the PGR conference, is what I'm currently working on. It's a work in progress. I suggested the idea along with Prue and Christina around last year, and we've been working on this, making changes and listening to the committee in order to see how it should unfold in the future. For the time being, we decided that there should be a PGR conference. There is a need for a PGR conference to increase the involvement of PGRs in the work of IALIC. When we look at the membership, when we look at the participation of PGRs itself, it's not as much as we want it to be, and we really want to increase their involvement in the work of IALIC. So basically, right now, this conference is expected to run summer 2022. There is no exact date yet. The call for papers is work in progress. I will be working on that and sending it to the committee. There are some committee members who agreed to arrange meetings to discuss that further. The conference is expected to be organized by PGR, so led by PGRs. So I warmly invite you to let your the students you supervise to know of this initiative. If they are actually interested to take part in the organization, we can discuss that further by emailing me. Yeah, that's everything for me to say. And thank you so much for listening.
Thanks very much, Ramsey, for that presentation on the proposed PGR conference. Are there any questions to Ramsey about it? Judith's clapping, good. So we've discussed this in committee, and we have the committee's full support towards Ramsey for developing this conference, and keep us informed, Ramsey, about how things go and the possibility of whether it's virtual or face-to-face, which might be another consideration. Thank you for that. Good work. Okay, and now we move on to Malcolm, the IALIC editor, for his report on the journal.
Right, thanks very much for that. I'm not going to share my report. I've circulated an editor's report for your records, and I'm just going to give you the headline points on that. Since my failure to load my PPT at the Meet the Editors meeting was well received, not least by John, so I'm going to give a humanistic account here. Right, the headline news on the journal, I guess, is that Professor Hans J. Ladegar from Polytechnic, the University Polytechnic Hong Kong, has now joined me as co-editor of LAIC. I've been sole editor for 5 years, and I think I've just about managed to keep on top of everything, but it's great now to have a co-editor that I can sort of share views with and discuss issues with, and also split the labor with. Just so you know where your papers are going, I've been editing the open issues, which are open to all papers, for 10 years, and Hans has gallantly volunteered to take that over. And I'm now focusing mainly on the special issues as special issues editor and doing other executive work like this. We've got all the issues this year through on schedule, and also I can report that volume 21 will, for the first year since we moved from 4 issues to 6 issues, actually fill our extra page budget that we were given. The first 2 6-issue volumes were a bit under the page budget. But Taylor and Francis are happy that we've now got quite a bumper issue. And I just want to say that it's always been my view, the open occasional papers that we publish are very important to the journal and obviously to the development of research in intercultural communication. But it really is the special issues, I think, that drive the journal. This can be seen not least in the number of downloads and citations that we have on historical special issues. So the special issues are very important to the journal, not least the conference special issue. And of course, this conference will be generating its own special issue in due course of time. Now, we've got the issues published on schedule just. But I do just have to note, as a point of information, that maybe you all as authors for LAIC and other journals might be interested in, that the reviewing process has slowed down quite a lot in the lee of COVID. It really does feel to me as editor that basically the Academy globally is just knackered, as we say in the south of England. People just no longer have the time really to do the reviewing. Those that do review do agree after numerous requests, often are late in submitting the reviews and require reminding, etc., etc. And that makes it kind of more exhausting from the editorial point of view. I mean, I thank all of you in the room, and there are doubtless many of you, including on this committee, who have reviewed papers over the past year. Review is becoming increasingly rare. So also, I just want to put out a plea to members that if you are interested in reviewing papers or want to just build up a bit of experience in this, do just send me an email and I'll put you on my list, and I'd be very grateful for your help with this. Okay, just moving on then, just some technical stuff. We've been with Taylor and Francis for 10 years, and we're still on a bit of a roll at the moment. And the downloads of the papers seem to go up exponentially year on year by at least 30%. And we've had 93,000 downloads for the journal this year. Our impact factor is also nudging 2 for the first time for what that matters at 1.903. And again, that's looking pretty strong. That's probably going to be an all-time high for this decade. It goes up and down, and I think we have to brace ourselves for a dip after this. It won't go on going up year and year, but the 5-year impact factor is 1.774, which again is not at all bad. I mean, the journal's now been going for 20 years. It was still relatively new within the discipline. Some have been going for 40 years. So this is not bad for a journal in our field. Okay, just to give you a brief idea of where we're going with the journal. We've just got an open issue out as the current issue, issue 5, as we speak. And we're just waiting for issue 6, Critical Approaches to Cultural Identities in the Public Sphere, a special issue edited by IALIC members Melodine Sumier, Alex Frame, and David Bouquet. Other special issues we've got lined up that are in my editor's report going forward to 2022. We've got 3 more special issues that are all very core to the association. So the special issues that we've got coming up in 2022 are all really powerful manifestations of the research and interaction that's been going on in the association. Issue 2 reflects our continuing interest in arts-based education, headed up by Lou Harvey from Leeds University, assisted by Gamli Tosro and Jessica Bradley. Now, we have the 20th anniversary issue that we're all eagerly waiting for. Should have come out as issue 1. But 1 or 2 papers came in a bit late. Some of the authors are in this room. So I took this as a collective decision to publish a bit late. And that will now come out as issue 3 for sure. We've got an excellent special issue coming out featuring papers from the Rich Ed project in Interculturality in Chinese higher education. I think Prue has had a hand in that. But that is edited by Jan van Meiler and Lixian Jin. And then we run into the Bogotá special issue, which comes out as issue 1 in 2023, bang on schedule again. And we're all looking forward to that, edited by Beatrice and John. We have a Twitter account, which issues tweets very periodically. Watch out there for the editor's pick from each issue. Taylor and Francis has very graciously permitted me to promote 1 paper from each issue as an open access paper for 3 months, which again is a great freebie for members who might not have, and associates of IALIC who might not have access to the journal. Do pick us up as a follower to keep in this Twitter feed, and that will inspire me to send more tweets in the forthcoming year. So thanks. I've just had 1 or 2 offers of reviewing that I'll pick up in the chat. Thanks for that now. And here finishes my report, I think. And you have the written version circulated by email. Hayden's has a question, I think.
Yeah, it's not a question, and I'm hesitant to try to make more work for you, Malcolm. But one of the things I'm really interested in is the kind of demystifying the reviewer process. I've reviewed in the past, and sometimes I get a paper and I feel like I've got a lot to say, and then the last one that I reviewed, I read and I thought, this is a perfect paper. It's just absolutely brilliant. And then I kind of feel a bit, lacking in that, well, what can I say other than, this is just absolutely brilliant. So it would be really interesting to hear from your experiences kind of what works and what doesn't work. Even kind of the horror stories as well as, you've asked somebody to review and they get back to you 5 years later. But I'm just really curious about this process, because I think there's a lot of people willing. I'm certainly willing, but you don't kind of get a list of, how to make helpful comments. And I'm certainly from the other side when I've submitted and I've gotten reviewers' comments. I've gotten some that I thought were really constructive, and others where it's just kind of put my back up a bit. So
Yeah.
it would be really interesting, I think, as part of IALIC to have a sort of a discussion around this. I think just to demystify it a bit, because it's an important process, and I think it works well, but it's a little bit hidden. I just don't kind of, I'd like to hear a little bit more about kind of what exactly we're looking for. What makes a good reviewer?
Yeah. Well, first of all, Haynes, I just want to thank you. You're absolutely one of our stellar reviewers, and everything you've done, and you've done a lot of reviews, is absolutely bang on target. Thanks for this prompt, and I think Prue wouldn't thank me for going into a long explanation of the reviewing process at this point in the AGM. But let me just respond with a couple of things. First of all, I think you're prompting me. One of the advantages now of Hans taking over, really running the engine of LAIC by managing the open issues, and me going on to special issues, that now having had an all-round experience of the journal, I want to do additional executive stuff, like update some of the communication stuff. And I think you're prompting me really to maybe set out a set of guidelines and, as you say, demystifying points maybe in writing that might help people. And I think the undertaking that I'll make at the moment, Haynes, if you don't mind me pushing this into the long grass a bit, is that maybe in the next Meet the Editors panel in the Lisbon conference, I can make some space for talking about journal reviewing. That seems to be the most appropriate space for doing that. I just take this as a prompt. I also just want to say that with view to my own editing practice, I mean, I've got to say I would find it overwhelming to give feedback to each reviewer. Yeah. Some reviewers who make exemplary reviews, I do try to contact personally to thank them. The ones who give bad reviews are very hard to handle. Okay, and basically I remember them and I don't ask them again. I also want to say that wherever possible, as an editor, I try to interpret the reviews that are being sent back. And you're absolutely right. I mean, after 10 years now, I really do view reviewing a paper as an extremely subjective and personal process. I think there's no getting away from that. And I think for authors, I would say, certainly take reviews with a pinch of salt. Take what's good, take what's bad. But I do make an attempt at least, which I think in my experience as an author, few editors do, to give pointers to authors as to what to take from the reviews and what perhaps to set one side. And if you like, you're inspiring me maybe to try a bit harder at that and talk to Hans about that practice as well. So I hope that kind of indicates a desire to respond in the medium term to your comment.
That's great. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Malcolm. I see Maria Jose has given us a prompt about the time there. But Malcolm, thank you very much for your report. As always, it's very detailed, and thank you for all the work. It's obvious that you've kept the journal going there very strongly and improved it. And it's great that Hans has joined to support you in that role. And thanks too to Taylor and Francis for making available the readings for this conference. Right, so now we move on to the election of the new chair. So you can see there the comment that I'm stepping down, and that to ensure a smooth transition, the committee identified Christina Rossi Soleil as a possible new chair. And Christina has been shadowing Prue over the recent months, and the committee would like to nominate Christina for the position. So at this point, we really just would like your agreement. I don't know, maybe you can just say yes in the chat or something to accept Christina as the new chair. I'd have to say that I'm really grateful. Lots of thumbs up, that's great. That Christina was keen to take up this role, and it's been good working with her over the last, I don't know, about 8 months, I think, Christina, isn't it, that you've been shadowing me, and she's definitely ready to lead IALIC forward. So good on you, Christina, and all the best as you go forward. And again, just to say thanks to Haynes, who's been a magnificent membership secretary, and to Anna for taking up the role. She knows what's entailed. She's been on the committee, so that's good. And I've got another announcement that Troy is stepping down from the committee. Troy joined us and has been a wonderful asset in his very astute comments around activities of IALIC, and we've really appreciated his membership. It's a pity that he's stepping down due to other commitments around family and work, and so he's a great loss, along with Haynes, of course. And so thank you to both of you for the contributions that you've made to the committee. So what we're going to do, we discussed at the last IALIC committee before this this conference, was to put out expressions of interest to members who would like to join the committee, and see what happens, so that when roles become available, they can step into these roles. We've got most of the people on the committee have roles, and so we're quite keen to include others on the committee who can support, and when people step down, that they can take up these roles where possible. So we will be putting out expressions of interest to members following on from this AGM. Okay, and now we come to the, I should have mentioned too that at the beginning I forgot to mention anything about apologies. And Haynes, you said that 4 people had apologized. Do you know who they are?
Yes, I do. It was, I just put it in my message to Maria Jose. Hane Tang,
Okay.
Dominic Bush, Janwei Shu, and Zuha.
Okay, good, thank you very much. So Christina, can I pass over to you to say something about the Lisbon conference just briefly, because we'll mention it at the end of the conference today too.
Yeah, thank you, Prue, and thank you very much for offering the job of being chair of IALIC. I'm very flattered to have been asked, and very honored to take over this role. And I'm very grateful as well to kind of be able to build on your fantastic legacy, Prue, and the legacy of the committee that obviously I will be working alongside over the next few months and hopefully years. And yes, yeah, I don't want to kind of go on for a long time, and I just wanted to express my gratitude to have been given this challenge and great responsibility to take forward the association into the future, and that I will of course build on all the kind of main values of the association in terms of intercultural dialogue, our commitment to social justice, and the promoting of intercultural kind of interdisciplinarity, and the kind of quite radical approach sometimes to intercultural issues. And without wanting to extend my little commentary on this, I would just want to then show the exciting news of our next conference that is going to be taking place in Lisbon. And I was given recently this very beautiful poster from Anna Pino, who's, I'm going to just share it with you. Can you see my screen? Yeah. So Anna Pino just produced this beautiful poster for the next conference in Portugal, in Lisbon. You can see the provisional title, which is provisional because it has to be approved by the committee, Diversity and Epistemological Plurality, Thinking Interculturality Otherwise, which reflects a little bit the themes that we've been talking about already in this conference of decoloniality, of plurality of epistemologies, bringing in the kind of global South perspective and epistemological justice. So I think it will be a very interesting kind of theme to create debate around interculturality. And another special kind of something to point out is the date of the conference, which is slightly different from what's been happening in the past. And we obviously we were a bit resistant to this at the beginning because we know that it's more convenient for for the conference to happen in November, but we couldn't avoid these dates, which were the dates that suited the team in Portugal, in Lisbon, because of their academic year and the lack of space in the university. So the 7th to the 9th of September are the dates that have been set for this conference. And Anna Pino and her team have prepared a wonderful PowerPoint that introduces the site of the conference in Lisbon, and also a little kind of introductory video of the city and its cultural offerings that you can see later on today when at the closing session for the conference. And I think that's all from me.
Thanks very much, Christina. Yes, so the dates we had to negotiate because of the teaching rooms, as Christina said. So unfortunately, it's not in November as normal, but we will try and stick to our November agenda. I'm very much aware that we need to finish because Maria Jose has to go. Any other business?
Yes.
Yes.
I think just very briefly now, before we finish the meeting, it has fallen to me to say a resounding thank you, Prue, from the entire committee and all the membership for all the hard work you put in over these 10 years. But we have been together in the IALIC family for 20 years, and you have worked tirelessly over that period to, if you like, nurture the family and also develop the intellectual ideas and the practice of interculturality within IALIC. So just on behalf of everyone who's present and all those members who are not able to attend this meeting, thank you very much, Prue, for all your sterling work over this period.
Oh, thank you, Malcolm, for those very kind words. As I wrote in the chat, it's been my pleasure. So I really wish you all the best as you go forward, and especially Christina, I know you're going to be a great chair. So thanks very much, all of you, really great. Okay, have a good rest of conference, and we'll see you later on for the final words of the conference. Bye, everyone.
Before that, I was asked for taking a picture. So if you can turn on your camera just briefly for a picture, it would be great. And just a picture for just like 10 seconds. Turn on your cameras. All right, thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Remember that we now have 2 open parallel rooms, so you can go to the parallel room you prefer. Thank you.
Thank you, Beatrice. Thanks, Christina.
Thank you, Prue.